Good evening, football fans. Hawthorne and Lawndale City Cable, along with Time Warner Communications, is proud to bring to you the Redondo High Seahawks versus the Leuzinger High Olympians. We're here at Olympian Field in Lawndale, California, and we're getting ready for kickoff. Leuzinger has already won the toss, and we're waiting for the Seahawks to get on the field. Coming into this game, Redondo is led by veteran coach Gene Simmons, a 7-year veteran with an overall record of 37-28-2. He's coming off a 6-5 record in a playoff appearance last year. His team is still on the up and up this year, despite losing numerous players. They're off to a 3-1 start, and their only loss was to a tough Sarah team. And they already have one impressive victory against St. Pauli. We're about ready for kickoff here, folks, at Olympian Field. Leuzinger won the toss and elected to receive. And action's ready to begin. A low line drive kick that's going to roll all the way down to the Leuzinger 10. It's picked up by number 24, Justin Shin. He returns it up to about the 28-yard line, folks. So Leuzinger starts off with decent field position, and the Seahawks defense is taking the field. Redondo Beach is coming in this year despite losing numerous star players. They have, like I said, that 3-1 record. They lost star player Keith Ellison. He went to San Diego State. And they've lost numerous other players along with Thomas Brown, who we seen 2 weeks ago, who transferred to the Hawthorne High Cougars. Leuzinger, of course, lining up in that double wing T offense. It's been familiar for so many years. The handoff straight up the middle to number 4, Troy Morgan. Morgan takes it in for about a 4-yard run there. Second down and about 6 as we see Morgan get back in the huddle. The Olympians, as I said, are off to a 1-3 start. They had a very, very tough non-league schedule. So that 1-3 record isn't as bad as you may think. There's a run up the middle. And if you haven't noticed, Dave Marks and Rufus Washington are not in attendance just yet. The 405, they are victims of the 405. And they should be making their way here any minute. So I'm filling in for them until they get here. So bear with us, folks. I'll do as best as I can to fill in as I'm up here by myself. Leuzinger's up, third down, about 3. Redondo stacking about 10 men in the box. There's a quarterback sneak, and that pile moves for about 7 yards, and Leuzinger picks up the first down. It wasn't too pretty, folks, but Leuzinger picked up the first down there. And that's one of the strong assets Coach Witt mentioned to me before the game was the impressive size of the Leuzinger offensive line. And here's Dave Marks right here. Dave is here. I guess since Roof isn't here, I will be moving to color until he gets here. Leuzinger has the ball at the line of scrimmage, first down. This is a pitch to number 24. Aaron McDaniel picks up about 3 yards in that play. It's going to be 2nd and 7. So it's going to be 2nd down and 7 here. Leuzinger moving midfield. And now we're going to switch the play-by-play over to Dave Marks. Dave, how's it going?
Oh, you would do that, would you? Right in the middle of a play? Right in the middle of a typical Leuzinger running play where they're going off left side, huh?
Yep.
Well, it's Brandon Ford carrying the ball. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Scott, my wing guy. Now, I'm also told Rufus is supposed to be here as well.
Yes, he's supposed to be here.
See, so we're going to have 3 people in the booth just like they do on Monday Night Football. This is our first game here from Leuzinger High School this year as they take on the Redondo varsity Seahawks, highly touted team, as I'm sure Scott has made you aware. Leuzinger has got the ball following the kickoff, and they are on a drive. Well, you know, fans of Leuzinger football, what they do. It's run, and run some more. And this is going to Gerald Armstrong, one of those junior backs in there. Armstrong, he is a junior and plays strong safety and running back, and it's pretty much run all night here in Southern California. I'm sure you are also aware of the fact that Scott has told you everything. If there's any mistake that's been made, it's his fault, not mine. Even me arriving here late is his fault. We'll blame it on him one way or the other. And down the line, they're going to go for short yardage there on the play. So as we mentioned, this is our first time here at this facility. Again, it looks a little brighter out here than it has done in other years. Looks like similar to what they've done up at Hawthorne. Looks like there's perhaps been a little resodding, a little painting of the hash mark so we can see. And we're going to be looking at a big play coming up right here. Short yardage situation.
Leuzinger's off to a pretty decent drive here to start off the game, Dave.
As they took that opening kickoff. On the season, they're not doing too hot record-wise, but I guess there's an explanation for that. Not an excuse, an explanation. This is a legitimate explanation for the reason why they have been on the losing end of the season. As they've played, every opponent they've played, including tonight here against Redondo, has been a top quality team, and they are basically a junior-laden ball club right now. They're 1-3 coming in. And we'll tell you about some of those tough losses here on the short yardage play where it looks like Ford is going to be stacked up, getting just a little bit down to about the 30-yard line, maybe back to the original line of scrimmage.
That's definitely true in regards to the tough non-league schedule, Dave. Leuzinger, that 1-3 mark doesn't look too good, but it's been against, like you said, upper echelon teams.
And they've lost to teams, for instance, such as the Las Vegas Ball Club, a couple of weeks ago, the team that won the state championship, Las Vegas High. Trying to run to the right side, Armstrong not getting very far. They lost to Servite in their opening home game, 35-14. They lost to Las Vegas here at home, 36-6. They were sort of competitive with Culver City, a non-league game. They played them away. Culver City beat them 39-20. And, of course, Culver City remains undefeated. And here against Redondo Union, one of the teams that a lot of experts figure are going to do well in their league. Team that has some players to watch on the offense. And quarterback option. Looks like he's going to stay with it. Of course, when we do ball games here at this particular field, unlike at Hawthorne, we are always out in the elements. And for those of you who remember the old Arsenio Hall show, it's like sitting perpetually with the posse, so to speak. And it is a relatively cool night, comparatively cool, comparing to the last couple of weeks when the weather was somewhat warmer. On the ground again, some blocking to the outside, but tripped up on a nice play. Good play coming around to make the trip. The number 12 there for Redondo. And that a big play getting in there, Leonard Hernandez. The defensive back came up from the defensive back to make that stop on the ball carrier. And it's going to force a fourth down situation. Fourth down, they've got the ball at about the 20. Well, they're going to move it back. Still spotting the ball. 24-yard line, that was fourth down. So actually now it goes over to Redondo. Don't expect to see many punts, or there's no field goal, no one-point conversions for Leuzinger. That's out. And here we go on the offense with Redondo Union. First offensive play of the night. And they go to the outside on the carry.
Dave, look for Redondo this game to spread it out. They pretty much have a wide open offense, and they're led by their quarterback, which is Chris Meadows, the 5'10 senior. He's had an up and down year so far this year, but he's been carrying the offense on his back. And halfback-wise, the running game, Kevin Ellison, Keith Ellison's younger brother, their star last year, has stepped it up at halfback, and he's had a couple 100-yard games so far this year. And in regards to the passing game, look for wideout Mike Witcher for Redondo to have a big game. So Redondo's offense is pretty potent here, folks.
Man going in motion. QB is Meadows. Got some time. Going to step up in the pocket, and play made on the tackle by Daniel Navas. Navas on the stop with Hankey coming in, first flag of the night. 5:44 to go in the first quarter. And it's a call that's going to back up the Redondo Union Seahawks somewhat. Yeah, you're mentioning this well-balanced ball club. We see Rufus is about to enter the fray. We told you we're going to have 3 people here in the booth pretty soon.
Actually, I'm going to be exiting down the sideline, getting that sideline coverage tonight, Dave.
You are? Well, let's see who else we got. We can draft into duty here.
Here's Rufus approaching. I am going to be checking out, and you'll be seeing me down on the sidelines. Here's Rufus Washington, folks.
He's Natalie dressed. Napoli as we get a timeout on the field. This is what happens when you do things on the lower levels. So, as that timeout, it couldn't have come at a better, perfect time. As Rufus says back east where he comes from. I'm from back east too, but he's from a little further south than back east where I'm from. For the first time in calendar football year 2002, we welcome a voice that you've known here in the South Bay for too long. You've known him for quite a while, and he's been doing this since 1987. It is a pleasure to see him again. Always prepared, always ready. Well spoken of. Rufus Washington.
Dave, you're too kind. Fans, it's good to be with you again. And hey, welcome to another exciting season here on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22. I'm Rufus Washington. Of course, you just heard Dave Marks and Scott Gutman. This is our crew, and you know the guys who are in the truck. You got Tom Strickfat, our erstwhile executive producer of Lawndale Sports and Lawndale's cable programming. So we've got a good show in hand. Let's get underway. Right now we got Redondo with the ball. There's a rollout pass in the flat, intended for number 38, falls incomplete. Leuzinger, Dave, comes into the game looking pretty good this year.
Yeah, they're looking good as far as play is concerned, but it's not, as we mentioned earlier. Of course, for some of you folks out there, you're saying, come on, we said this already. But record-wise doesn't reflect some of the effort they've given due to the fact that they have played just about as tough a competitive schedule as you can play. And there's a reason for that, is because these are basically preseason games. They count on your overall record, but they don't count in league play. So what you want to do, what Mike Witt, their head coach, is hoping to do is get them ready for the tough league games.
There's Leuzinger with the punt return. It's number 7. There's a hole up the left side. Cuts it back inside. Runs into one of his own men. However, he gets it into Redondo territory at the Redondo 44-yard line. Dave, this is my first opportunity to see the new and improved Olympian Stadium this year, and it is a thing of beauty. Our fans who've been around for years know that from time to time, it's been a sore spot, but I got to tell you, I'm proud of what Leuzinger has done. And they started this improvement program actually a year ago. And now we're starting to see the real fruit of it. The track is a beautiful track facility, as is the field. 1st and 10 for the Olympians. Here's the pitch back to number 11, who turns the corner outside. Right, approaches a first down. Good game, pickup of at least 9, maybe 10 on the carry.
And that, of course, is Gerald Armstrong on the carry. Mentioned him a couple of times here tonight.
4:43 left in the first quarter. It's a scoreless contest thus far, fans.
And we say that because we can see every bulb, in this, unlike a certain place up on El Segundo where we were 2 weeks ago. We can see every bulb in the scoreboard here tonight. So there will be no problems in guessing the time.
2nd and short for the Olympians. 3 guys in the backfield. Nice inside handoff once again. Gives us a chance to talk a little bit about the type of offense Leuzinger has featured for the last 3 or 4 years, Dave. Of course, that's keeping the ball on the ground. This isn't a program that features the pass. I mean, if you're a kid who's got designs of being John Elway or Dan Marino, Leuzinger isn't where you want to play. But if you think you're going to be one of the feature running backs in the NFL, then this is an excellent program for you because they do feature the running game.
That's a good point. I mean, that is one thing that you can do if that's one aspect of your game that you want to stress. Of course, wins and losses aren't everything.
Here's a pitch out coming around the corner. That's number 1, Brandon Ford. Ford being a senior, we've called his name many a time in the last couple of years. Before Brandon put on that number 1, it was worn by Therian Fontenot, who's now running back up at Fresno State for the Bulldogs.
And Mike Witt there said he wishes he had 22 players like Brandon Ford that played as hard as he does. He's a senior, of course. He's been steady, plays very hard, and plays all night.
2nd down and about 4 yards.
And on the 2nd and 4, he's in there hustling.
Here to call 2nd and 4 for the Olympians. This time they go right. Got a flag coming in on the play. And it's a hold against the Olympians. The referee with the real quick indication there. He, of course, was trailing the play and saw it all the way. He threw the flag. He made the call.
One of the things that you always notice about the Leuzinger Olympians is they do run a lot, but for the most part, they don't make the mistakes. That's one positive thing you can always say about them. So getting a hold or a clip is major for them, because if you're going to have an offense that's 98% run, you can't afford to do that, because now they don't like to pass. So they don't want to be in that situation where most other teams, oh, this is a passing down. They're going to keep it on the ground. And along those lines, Rufus, a couple of weeks ago in one of their earlier ball games, I was told that, and this I have to believe, I got to see tape of this, that Leuzinger made 15 pass attempts in one game. Now, that's more than they usually make in a season. So that I have to see.
Well, you and me too on that one. Once again, they bring it left on the second and long, short gain on the play, driven out of bounds by number 12 for Redondo. And, of course, that's Leonard Hernandez, a 5'10", 170-pound sophomore.
Aaron McDaniel, the sophomore on that carry there, doing a fine job. Of course, they're going to feature three backs, basically, Leuzinger Olympians. You'll see Brandon Ford, Torrey Morgan, Gerald Armstrong, and on occasion, they will go to the sophomore Aaron McDaniel.
So it's now a 3rd down and 12 for the Olympians fans. Ball spotted at the 32. They need to get to the 20. And Ford's going to get about half of what they need. It's going to make it a 4th and 6 for the Olympians.
And, of course, they're going for it. When you talk about field goal kicking to Mike Witt, he says, what's that? That does not exist, basically. No one-point conversions, no field goals. And, of course, the quarterback in there starting is William Martin. He's a senior. He's a good athlete. But as we've been telling you for most of the night, don't expect many, many pass attempts.
So here's the Olympians' 4th down play, 4th and 6. There's a high pitch back to number 11. And this is going to be close. It is a 1st down as they get inside the 15 down to about the 11-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Olympians here. First quarter action.
That's Gerard Armstrong again on the carry, and he's playing on a bad ankle. He's been playing through an injury, an ankle problem, for most of the year, but he's still out there playing. He had a good sophomore season, now up as a junior, and coaching staff thinks when he's 100% healthy, he's going to be lethal.
So the Olympians once again threatening. This is the same drive. They took the 15-yard penalty, dealt with it, recovered. Pick up about 3 on that play. Makes it a 2nd down, and let's call it 7.
And if nothing else, since they've got the opening kickoff, they've had the ball twice. Redondo had it and did not get anywhere with it. And, of course, this eats up clock. So that's the fortunate thing about this. You keep a very potent and balanced Redondo attack off the field and off the scoreboard with 1:40 to go in the first quarter.
Of course, a year ago, these Olympians beat Redondo 16-6. Another flag. This is a late flag coming in on the play. Not the quick indication that we saw the first time, although we see some movement that would seem to indicate it's against the Olympians, but we'll wait for the official there. You can always tell the referee in a football game because he's the one with the white hat.
As are the good guys in the old Western movies that Rufus used to watch when he grew up. You grew up in North Carolina. Was it North Carolina or Mississippi?
North Carolina.
Okay, they're right next to each other, basically.
Well, as you can tell, Dave, obviously not a geography major, but
that's true.
We won't hold that against him.
That's true.
They are marking this off against the Olympians, though. Another holding call. Dave, this is the second holding call they've had on this drive, the second, quite frankly, in their last 4 plays.
Well, of course, not a good thing, but you would have to wonder, is the holding become as a result of getting pressure? Holding on a pass play and a run play, 2 different things. Holding on a run play is probably going to be blocking in the back, and one of the things that referees will tell you is if you see the guy's number, don't make the block.
Olympians keep it on the ground this time. That's number 2 with the carry, William Martin.
And getting back to your comment a second ago about North Carolina looking like Mississippi, if you've ever seen that poster that we look at in New York City, once we look west of the Hudson River, it all looks the same basically to us out there. So that's kind of like where I was coming from with that. So I was right about that. But now getting back to this hard-fought football game with 40 seconds to go and the clock running, and Leuzinger on the drive here, set back by a couple of penalty yards.
It's a 3rd and long now. Although there's a bit of a glare on the down marker. 11 is going to move to the outside, and nice tackle there by Redondo.
And it was good pursuit down the line to basically stop him. It was number 42 coming up there on the pursuit that forced him to not be able to get outside and not get much, if anything, on that particular run. And so this brings up again, as you said, Glare on the down marker. So that's the last play of the first quarter.
And so we've got one in the books. And after one here on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22, our score, losing Olympians, the home team, 0. Redondo visiting in a non-league matchup, 0.
And if you were wondering why we had some of the things that before the ball game, Personally, I napped on this one. I thought this was a 7:30 start. I'm going to be honest. For some reason, I've been doing this now since 1998, and for some reason, I thought they kicked off at 7:30 tonight. So what did I do? I showed up right at 7 o'clock, a half hour, what I thought would have been a half hour early. Now, Rufus's excuse, he was stuck in traffic, of course. He was trying to get from downtown, and he had to cut down to 110 and a 105 and a 405 and do all that. So Rufus's excuse is legit, because as you do know here, mine is not. And as a result, I am now going to, I was going to talk about paying a fine, but I don't think I want to go there. But from now on, we will, barring any unforeseen circumstance, we'll make sure we get all the correct starting time so that we will show up here on time and not after bears. And let's thank Scott for doing a great job at filling in for both of us tonight. And, of course, the crew ready as always. Game is ready to go. You got to put up something.
Scott Goodman, one of the young up-and-comers, and you're right, Dave, in the broadcast business. Scott's second year with the program. Leuzinger keeps it on the ground on the fourth down play. Ball will now go over on downs to the Redondo team.
And even though that drive did not lead to points, of course, as they did it on the quarterback keeper that time, what it did do is for a whole quarter and 5 seconds, it basically kept Redondo off the field. Redondo has yet to basically get loose offensively, so they haven't got any rhythm. They've got nothing going yet. And the score is 0-0. Now they're going to look to do it and see if they can get that offense into gear with Chris Meadows, their QB.
So it's Redondo's ball. They take over on downs at the 15-yard line. They keep it on the ground as well. Nice hole opens up inside. They exploit it for about 5 yards before the Olympian defense closes down on them.
That's Kevin Ellison on the carry. So, sometimes in a situation where you've got an offense that's had to basically sit for a whole quarter with the exception of a couple of plays, I think maybe you want to shock them and come and try to go for it all on one play, put a lot on the board quickly. We'll see what Redondo attempts to do here.
Both teams, of course, as we may have already mentioned, coming off losses last week. Leuzinger, of course, lost at Culver City 39-20, and Redondo suffered their first loss of the season to Sarah by a score of 20-10.
And that was probably a tough game.
Nice pitch back there on the option. They turn it up, and they pick up the first down on the play as they take it out across the 30. Looks like they're going to spot it at about the 31-yard line, where it'll be a 1st and 10 for Redondo.
Well, Olympian coach Mike Witt is probably going to say there was a little sloppy tackling on that play. It looked like a couple of guys had a shot at the carrier in the backfield, but not able to wrap him up, and he goes around to get the 5 yards, and their drive will continue.
And in case you're interested, of course, we know that Redondo is known as the Seahawks. There you see their quarterback, Chris Meadows, under center. They send a man in motion. Nice little play there. They keep it on the ground, however, straight up the middle, and they get about 4 on the play. House calls it 3-4. It's going to make it a 2nd and about 6 for the Seahawks.
And Chris Meadows at 5'10", 175-pound junior.
Second down play. Once again, they bring a man back in motion this way. Olympians aren't fooled. However, on the pitch out to the right flat, they pick up about 3 on it. It's going to make it a 3rd and 2, Dave. Ball out at the 40, 39. They got to get to the 41 for the first down.
Well, it's Ellison, who I believe is the younger brother to Keith Ellison, who left last year, is now playing at San Diego State on that carry. Timeout on the field as there appears to be an injured Olympian.
There's an Olympian
And
down
we
on
don't
the
want to
field,
speculate
number
on the number. Yes, it's number Gerard Armstrong who's down. And Armstrong, that could be a tough blow to the Olympians if he goes down. Armstrong, of course, playing with that bad ankle. So he's already a little gimpy as it is. Plays strong safety and inside linebacker on the defense.
And against a team like Redondo, which can threaten you on the ground as well as in the air, their quarterback Meadows with 284 yards passing on the season and 2 TDs. Their running back with 166 on 36 carries means that you need your best defenders on the field at all times.
Redondo, 3rd and about 2 yards to go.
And especially on this 3rd and 2 situation.
But Armstrong does come off. Gerard Armstrong comes off under his own strength, and it looks like he's going to be okay. I think he'll probably miss this play and be right back in there. Again, inside handoff right up the middle. Breaks the line. Fortunately, the linebackers were there on that play, or that one could have gone for big yardage, Dave.
And that's Murcia on the carry, Tristan Murcia. He is plays linebacker and running back, 5'9", 174 pounds. And so far it's been, it looks like a big team, big offensive line, height-wise and size-wise, going against a smaller one, wearing them down.
This drive started at the Redondo 15-yard line. It's now out to near midfield at the 47. Once again, they're keeping it on the ground as well, picking up good yardage on the play. Get about 8 on the play.
Gene Simon electing head coach of Redondo in his 7th year, keeping it on the ground for Ellison, who haven't figured a way to solve him so far. He's just eating it up, had a couple of good games past couple of weeks.
It's a 2nd down, and this is real short. This is a yard and a half at most. Ball in Leuzinger territory now. They cut it up, and depends on the spot. Looks like from the spot it's going to be a 1st down, and that is the indication from our referee. 1st down for the Seahawks of Redondo.
Kevin Ellison doing it again. No mystery, just saying here, got to try to stop us, and they have not been able to do it so far. Just taking a look at the lines, it just looks like the Leuzinger Olympians are just being blown off the ball defensively. Of course, most of these guys do go both ways. And keep in mind, they had to be out there on offense for almost the whole quarter.
Gerard Armstrong still on the sideline, but looking anxious and ready to get back in. Here's a deep pitch back to number 4. Option play, lays it up there, and the reception is made, and this one's going to be downed. Touchdown, they're calling it. Late signal from the official. Finally makes the call. That was Leo Hernandez on the reception.
And you could almost, from our vantage point, watching them line up for that play with 2 receivers to the right side, you kind of knew it was going to be a pass one way or the other. I figured pass. That's didn't quite sniff out the option, but perfectly drawn up and perfectly executed. Everybody bid on that one.
Caught Leuzinger completely off guard, Dave. Exactly right. Don't know if we've got replay capability tonight, fans. We normally do. I'm sure if we do, we will show you that momentarily.
Well, just revisualize it, folks. You know, just think about what you just saw until we get the replay. Let's put it like that. But at any rate, the only problem would have been on Hernandez if he's all wide open and he drops the ball. That would have been the only problem.
Point conversion for Redondo.
Redondo quarterback with a keeper looking to pick up the 2, and he does. So Redondo at the 7:43 mark here in the 1st half. That means we're in the 2nd quarter. They go on top by a score of 8-0.
And it took them about 4 minutes and 22 seconds to do it. pretty impressive when you consider that they did not have the ball for most of the first quarter. And right now the Leuzinger Olympians, as advertised, facing a team that appears to be physically stronger at the point of attack. There's the replay, there's the pitch. And yeah, just getting set up to throw. A little bit of a dying duck pass, almost, well, he didn't actually catch him in stride. He kind of had to wait for it, and that could have been a little dangerous. And
ooh. I'm not sure that that was a touchdown, depending upon how they spot the guy being down. He went down actually in the field of play, but that's the way the refs called it, so that's what we're going to have to go with.
And of course, no TV replay here at this level.
Here's a kickoff. It's taken by the Olympian return team. Got good movement, breaks into the open, one man to beat, and finally brought down at the 40-yard line of Redondo. But that was Aaron McDaniel on the return for the Olympians.
Well,
and no flags on the play, so the return will stand. And that's a good thing. So the Olympians get excellent field position.
well, the sophomore McDaniel bailing them out. He's just getting tuned in, and he's put on some good performances. Had a good performance on the freshman team. So let's see if Leuzinger is able to capitalize. 40 yards and pay dirt.
Pitch to the outside, brought up for a nice gain, about 8 yards on the play.
That play nets Leuzinger about 8
For the Olympians.
on the carry for the Olympians. Was Armstrong back in the game. We told you he looked to be okay.
2nd and 2 for the Olympians.
He plays through a lot of pain on that ankle. Even though it's just the second quarter, 7:07 to go till halftime, this might be the most important drive of the game for Leuzinger. They have to respond right here.
Pitch in the backfield is brought short to no gain.
Olympians again keeping it on the ground. No surprise there. You'll hear us say that quite frequently.
But basically that time McDaniel had no lanes to run in. Picked up just very short yardage.
Third.
Like the timing just wasn't there on that particular exchange from William Martin.
It's big third down play for the Olympians. Of course, I guess in their set, there are no big third down plays because they're going every time, seemingly. But it is a 3rd and 1. Quarterback keeper this time, and they pick up the first down as they cross the 30 down to the 29-yard line. We've got 6:19 left in the first half. Leuzinger right now down by a margin of 8-0, but they are threatening.
And it's a drive that they need to sustain, get something positive out of. Helped, of course, by that big kickoff return by McDaniel.
Again, McDaniel took it to the 40-yard line of Redondo, so he put him in excellent field position right off the rip. Now they're down inside the 30 at the 28, where it's a 1st and 10. Clock continues to roll. We're just under 6 minutes. Here's the pitch back. The number 1, he's stacked up at the line of scrimmage, got a flag on the play. This might be a face mask, Dave.
Well, you saw one of the Redondo players pointing after the flag was thrown. And again, if the Olympians are not able to get anything out yet, well, you had it right. It's a face mask. I started to say if Leuzinger not able to get anything positive on that first down, it could be a potentially setback sort of drive, setback situation on the drive.
I know we're breaking a couple of new guys in on the camera. Guys got to know that if the flag goes down, what you want the camera on is the official to see what the call is going to be.
See, but that's what they're looking at right there. That's what the camera guy has his mind on.
But she's not going to make the call. That guy wearing, I told you earlier, we also educate here. The guy with the white hat is the one who's going to tell you what's going on. But it is a 1st and 5 for the Olympians. Here's a deep pitch. Bam. Meets some resistance at the line of scrimmage. Bounces out of it. Goes left. Picks up a first down. And now we've got flags coming in from all over the field, Dave.
Well, Richard Abbott was in there for Redondo. That's the one that Armstrong bounced off of.
Well, actually, that was McDaniel, number 24, with the carry.
Oh, McDaniel with the carry. Excuse me, you're right. Got the numbers confused on the carry there. But Yeah, this one is going against Redondo again. So we were saying on the last possession that it looked like Redondo, a team physically bigger, was just taking advantage of Leuzinger at the point of attack. Definitely that kickoff return has given them some life. It sort of sparked them up here. And with 5:16 to go, you could say it's very efficient clock management, whether by design or just by fate.
Absolutely. Well, I think what you noted earlier in terms of Leuzinger's ball control offense in the first quarter kept Redondo off the field, and that was a good thing. Here's the pitch, and the score on the play, on the carry for the Olympians. Gerard Armstrong at the 5-minute mark gets them in. They're on the board.
And from the point of view of Leuzinger, that is basically just what the doctor ordered. They had to respond. And here it's a nice block there to spring him free into the end zone. And the all-important two-point conversion, of course, they are going for two. So after doing all of that, they would want to not to score. They're still down 8-6. As a drum pounds in our ears.
So, two-point attempt coming up for the Olympians. There's the deep pitch coming around the right side. That's Armstrong. He's not going to get in. Or rather, that's McDaniel, number 24. McDaniel doesn't get in, so our score stands. Leuzinger 6. The Seahawks of Redondo 8, but it only took Leuzinger 2:43 to score to answer the Redondo touchdown, Dave, set up, as we said, by the excellent return by McDaniel that started this drive at the 40-yard line.
And you have to take what you can get, basically. Even though they were not able to score up, at least right now, you can say you still have a ball game. They're still competitive. That's why we said this was going to be an important drive, because if they're not successful on this drive, Redondo gets the ball in fairly decent field position, then they regain momentum. They may just wear them down again and score in a couple of plays. Well, Redondo still has the lead, but at least Leuzinger at this point is giving them something to think about.
Absolutely.
And that's an excellent player right there that you're looking at, Richard Abbott. Hey, Abbott.
Leuzinger, of course, needing and wanting to step up defensively here. As they saw, if Redondo gets their hands on the ball, they can move the ball. And that would be a tall order for Leuzinger to answer them score for score. Excellent kickoff. Here's going to go into the end zone, touchback. Good kick there. With that kind of kickoff, Dave, I can't understand why.
Well, I don't know. That's Daniel Navas doing the kicking. As you said, Rufus, perhaps you've put a new spin on it or developed a new paradigm. I mean, maybe just you can't be a jack of all trades. You can't do everything. I mean, this is not Long Beach Poly. It's not modern day. So perhaps Leuzinger, perhaps their legacy can be that the school trains running backs.
Well, it will be. It over the long haul, and we saw this with the coach before. I can't think of his name.
Don Markham.
Yeah, Don Markham when they went to the playoffs. But what was their death knell? The lack of a kicking game.
Well, there's a little story about that. I'll get to that one in a second.
Redondo keeping it on the ground. Very short gain on the play. Maybe a yard, depending on the spot of the officiating crew. And they don't give them much. I think they give them about half a yard. So good defensive stand on first down for the Olympians. Makes it a 2nd and 9.
Kevin Ellison on the carry. Rufus was referring to the game in 1999, December semifinal game in Division II at the time when Leuzinger took on Diamond Bar and they lost in a close game where had they kicked a field goal or an extra point, they would have won. But there was a reason why. Coach Mike Witt told me this year why they did what they did that night. I'll get to that point in a second.
2nd down now for the Seahawks. They fake the handoff. They drop back the pass, and that pass is incomplete. Of course, the Leuzinger defender, quite frankly, had no idea where the ball was. Bad technique there in the defensive backfield for the Olympians. Quite frankly, official could have called face guarding on that play.
And if it was a catchable ball, you probably get the interference call at some point. Getting back quickly to what happened that game a couple of years ago, Leuzinger had taken a lead in the closing stages of the ball game. And they kicked off. I remember Rufus was really saying, why did they only kick the ball off to the 30-yard line? Why did they not go deep? Of course, by kicking it off short, Diamond Bar was able to score in a couple of plays and basically 30 yards out and win the game. What happened was Diamond Bar had an all-world kickoff returner that they were trying to keep the ball away from that night. That's what Coach Witt says. They didn't want to kick it deep for that reason.
4-10 left here, and we got a sack on the play on the pitch back. Number 4 for the Olympians. Of course, that's Torrey Morgan. Morgan, a junior fullback linebacker for the Olympians. So the Olympian defense does exactly what they needed to do on that drive, Dave, and that was the fact that they held. Now we got an official's timeout on the field.
Well, Torrey Morgan, who made the play, Coach Mike Witt saying he needs more aggression from him, gave him a whole ounce of it on that particular play as one of the Olympians is hurt.
This is a very thin Leuzinger Olympian squad as it is. They only carry 23 players, and when you only got 23 guys, you can't afford for anyone to go down with an injury.
Well, they may get the ball in good field position on a high snap.
High snap, the kick is away. Looking to return it for the Olympians, number 7, that's Sean Scales. Scales with it, gets it back to the 43-yard line where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Olympians. We got 3:23 left in the first half. Leuzinger down by a deuce at 8-6 here on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22.
And good coverage that time by Redondo, kicking the ball out of their own end zone and basically not allowing, although they're Leuzinger's going to have excellent field position, not allowing Scales to break off a long run. So with the time on the score, winding down here in the first quarter and Leuzinger a team that keeps it on the ground, it's going to mean that they're going to need most of the remaining minutes here to attempt to take the lead on the tight wing tee.
So it's a first down for the Olympians. They show run, they do run. They give it to Armstrong. Armstrong picks up a pair on the play. Gets it down to the 40 or just outside the 40. It'll be 2nd down and 8, let's call it.
And Leuzinger getting its running legs, team getting the legs under it. Coming in of the tough competition they've been playing. And they're not into the league schedule yet, trying to get themselves in tune for that.
No surprise when Leuzinger lines up on the ball. They don't even line up in a passing offense to even show the threat of it. We got a flag on the play. McDaniel breaks into the open. It's finally taken down at the 20, but there were flags back in the defensive backfield, back where the linebackers play, but we'll have to see whether or not this one's going to go against the Olympians.
Yeah, there were 2 flags, as Rufus noted, one in the defensive backfield, one near the line where a couple of players were wrestling with each other there.
Okay.
Armstrong.
And our crack cameraman, boy, these guys, they learn fast. He's got it on the official, indicating a hold in there against the Olympians. That's declined. Let's see. What's it called? Okay.
Get off the cheerleaders and get on. There you go. All right. Okay. Yeah, we got to tell them what to do here. Okay.
Because even the Leuzinger coaching staff asking for an explanation on exactly what the call was.
Seems to be offsetting penalties. Holding against the Olympians. Correct.
Well, and they're going to mark off 10 against the Olympians. They bring it back to the 50, so that was the play. Apparently there were 2 penalties against the Olympians, one of which was declined by Redondo. They did accept the holding. That puts the ball at midfield. They need to get to the 33 for the first down. Question now, which we can't see real clearly from here, is what, okay, I can see it now. It's a 2nd down. So it's a 2nd and a whole lot. And they don't get much on that play.
That's one of the best calls I've ever heard. 2nd and a whole lot, and they don't gain too much.
You got there right, and with the clock running down, we're approaching the 2-minute mark here in the first quarter. They spotted at the 45. Just to remind you fans, they've got to get to the 32 for a first down. So that makes it a 3rd and 13.
Almost sounds like your last line, like saw Ray Charles last night at a function.
Did he see you?
Folks, cut the broadcast off. Cut that out of the tape, folks. Cut that. Do that in post-production.
McDaniel with the carry. McDaniel churning his legs. Picks up a good gain on the play. It's still going to be short. It's going to be a 4th down now. It'll be 4th and about 3. Let's call it 4, quite frankly. They need to get 4. 3 won't do it. So we're going to call it a 4th down and 4 for the Olympians to pick up a 1st down. We've got 1:17 here in the first half. Leuzinger with the ball. Critical play coming up for the Olympians. Clock continues to burn. Maybe this is the strategy. Rather than going for it, they're just going to burn time on the clock.
Well, a couple of things to consider. Redondo gets the ball starting the second half. Redondo is in the lead, so they don't really have to do anything. They can, they'll be satisfied probably going in at 8-6 as a delay of game penalty is going to come in.
So Leuzinger does accept the delay of flag. They decide that their best defense, or quite frankly their best offense, is to let the clock run. That one, Dave, I got to tell you, and I'm not in the business of second-guessing coaches a whole lot, being a coach myself, but on 4th and 3, 4th and 4, considering the success they've had, I'm not sure I wouldn't go for it, considering the difficulty they have in the kicking game, but they do get this kick away. It's not too bad a kick, and it is going to pin Redondo deep in their own territory at the 8-yard line.
Well, I guess, Rufus, they said right here, Navas, you've got to be our MVP. You've got to get that out. And Antoine Wilson almost recovered a fumble. The ball bobbled around there on the 8-yard line by Redondo. So, yeah, I guess Mike Witt is going to say to his defense right here, if you're good, you're going to have to hold them for 43 seconds. Keep them off the board. Redondo, of course, leading 8-6.
And granted, while place kicking is different from punting, their punter and has shown, well, the guy who also did the place kicking, because he kicked on the kickoff, has shown that he has some leg, Dave. I think at some point, Leuzinger may find themselves having to at least take a look. We got a flag on the play here as we're running out the last couple of seconds here in the first half. Redondo keeping it on the ground. Still enough time for a quick strike, although I think Leuzinger defensively mentally is prepared for that.
That's probably going to be some sort of procedure call out from where the flag was thrown. It's going against Redondo, it appears. But yeah, we say this every year. Is there going to come a point where that kicking game is important? Sure, but what do you do? I mean, do you take the gamble? I guess if that's in talking to Coach Witt this week, talking about, well, who's the placeholder? He goes, what placeholder? We don't have a placeholder. Who's the field goal kicker? We don't have one. I mean,
well, here's what I know. I mean, I can go all the way back to the days of Pete Gogolak. All right. I can tell you that there are a lot of soccer players here in the Lawndale Hawthorne area. And you can't tell me there's not one kid.
You're going to have to stay up with us.
I don't care if you're 3 feet tall and weigh 25 pounds, as long as he's an 11th grader, that you can't teach to kick a ball through the uprights, who probably already has the ability to do it.
I guess from their point of view, they might be afraid that, what if it's blocked and it's run all the way back? I think Redondo took the knee down. 25 seconds of clock running. They may not have to get into the playoff. They might just elect to let this thing run on out.
And not a bad decision on their part. They do come to the line, but I think, just like you say, if in fact there's a snap on the play, they'll knee it again. Doesn't look like there's going to be a snap. Well, there is, and they do take a knee with 4 seconds left, and that is the last play of the first half. So, after one half, fans, here on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22, we've got a fairly good contest. Right now, losing Olympians on the short end, but it's a good contest nonetheless. Our score, Redondo, the Seahawks, from just down the road, 8, Leuzinger 6. We'll be back with second half action in just a few
Coach
moments,
Witt,
fans.
you guys have dominated the ball of possession for about 75% of the game. You guys have also held the Seahawks offense under 100 total yards. What do you think you guys need to do to get the lead in the second half of the ball game? Is there going to be any adjustments at all?
Yeah, the offensive linemen move their feet and quit playing lazy and quit getting a key holding penalty.
in a huge situation, we should have been in 3 times. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. This is our problem, not their problem.
Coach, when the losing Olympians so far this half have dominated the game, but they're going into the locker room down 8-6. Good luck in the second half, Coach Witt. Back up to you, Rufus and Dave.
There we have Scott Gutman getting a quick sideline report there from head coach Mike Witt. I'm sure asking them, among other things, what he thinks that needs to do in the second half, what adjustments he might be willing to make to get back in control of this game.
Need to score more points, basically.
Well, there we go, folks. Boy, we just figured it out. All these years, all these coaches, nobody could ever figure it out.
That's
Dave
just because I
Marks
want to get to my halftime meal. Come on, let's
just gave him the answer. You got to score more points. I'll be darned.
Halftime meal is waiting, folks. What did we just say? That we're at the half, and it's 8-6 in favor of Redondo. You be sure, as I used to say on those cartoons, y'all be sure and come back in the second half now. Y'all come back now. You hear? Alrighty then. Well, let's take it down to the field, and as we're at the half, you see Redondo ahead of Leuzinger 8-6. Scott Goodman has got some notes for us, so let's go to Scott.
Going into the second half, it's been a hard-fought, bruising affair with running games dominating both sides of the ball. Neither team has amassed 100 total yards, and Redondo has yet to get its passing game in full gear. The Olympians so far, offensively-wise, have been plagued with penalties, and this game, folks, could come down to which team has the worst turnover ratio. Turnovers could play a big factor in this game. We'll see what plays out in the second half. I'm going to send it back up to Rufus and Dave. Back up to you guys.
All right, we'll take your word for it as we get set to start the second half. It was a competitive first half. First quarter, that saw Leuzinger on the field for most of the quarter. They weren't able to score, but they did keep Redondo off the scoreboard. Redondo got out in front 8-6 on a drive starting the second quarter, and then Leuzinger answered following a big kickoff return that led to points on that drive. They missed the two-point conversion, so we are at 8-6. And Rufus, as we've been doing these games for many years, going back to 1987, of course, you have seen people literally grow up before your eyes. So you're talking to somebody at halftime that you ran into, an old acquaintance.
Talking to the father of Keith Miller and Jason Miller, both of whom were standouts here. Keith, he was telling me, a year ago finished a outstanding collegiate career at Alabama State. Back now at Leuzinger as the freshman coach.
Oh,
as a matter of fact. And his older brother, Jason, who shared booth time with me back in the mid-90s, mid to late 90s. Jason is over at Inglewood. Had been over there for the last several years, taking a bit of a sabbatical right now. But both his sons were great players here. I mean Keith Miller was one of the leaders in what became the vaunted Leuzinger rushing attack. So it was good to see, and you're right. A lot of folks, when I look back on it, and sometimes I think about it, if you can imagine this, Dave, if you go back to 87 when we started this, that's now,
I mean, when you had a Jerry curl.
Exactly, 15 years ago. Those kids who were 18 then are now in their early 30s, some of whom may well have youngsters who in the next year or two will be calling their games, and I'll be telling the kid, I remember, that's when you almost know it's time to hand the reins over to the Scott Gutmans and the Deborahs of the world, when you start telling kids, I saw your daddy play, and I called his game. But it's fun. It's fun, and we've had a lot of fun with it, and we've got a second half of action coming up. We did invite Jason. His dad said if he comes in the stadium, and told him to stop by, say hello. Both Leuzinger Olympians of yesteryear.
And, of course, as you mentioned, the younger brother on the coaching staff, coaching the freshman team, and is here tonight to help out head coach Mike Witt, Keith Miller, freshman coach. And they won. I believe they're undefeated. They beat the Redondo freshman team yesterday.
So Leuzinger here to kick off to start the second half. Players are all on the field. They're all in position. They're simply now waiting for the indication from the side judge that it's time to go. The ball's teed up.
As Daniel Novice will do the kicking.
Again, an excellent kickoff for the Olympians. Ball inside the 10. And the losing pursuit stops him right at the 19-yard line, where it's going to be a 1st and 10 for Redondo here to start the second half, which they lead right now by a margin of 8-6 over the Olympians.
That was Joe Cancino on the run, not able to get much, the senior, returning the kickoff. So this an important first drive here for the Redondo Union Seahawks. They're like, well, okay, we've still got the lead, 2 points. We're starting fresh. Let's do this third quarter better than they did the first quarter, where they basically weren't on the field. They were on defense for most of that quarter. And if they can mount a successful drive on the ground as they did for their first scoring drive, of course, leading to the big option play for the touchdown.
Meadows, of course, the quarterback for Redondo, still under center. No gain on that play.
Little or no gain on the play. That'll bring up second
And they
down.
give it to Ellison again, trying to get the big yardage. Had a fairly productive first half, but Leuzinger up on the charge there to start the second half.
Ellison, of course, their leading rusher, coming into the game with 166 yards on 36 carries.
Leuzinger plays a 6-2 defense, basically.
Quarterback back to pass, although
We
there
got
is a
flags
flag on the
and
play.
whistles on the play.
Will be stopped.
Somebody moved on the Redondo line, it appeared. It looked like you saw somebody come up.
Exactly right. For our new and younger fans who may be listening or watching for the first time, a whistle a flag means the play generally will indicate that it was against the defense because they'll allow the play to run. A whistle and a flag together normally is going to mean it was against the offense or it was a dead ball penalty before the ball was actually snapped. In this case, because you saw the whistle after the flag against the offense, and, of course, they stop the play when it's against the offense. Because what's the point if there's going to be a penalty anyway?
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a screen right here. I think they were trying to set up a screen at
Leuzinger
last
showing
time.
blitz, though. They send the man in motion. Leuzinger backs out of the blitz. Good man-to-man coverage. Very short, dangerous pass there on the coverage for the Olympians was Brandon Ford.
Brandon Ford, the two-way player, as just about everybody is here. He leads the team in tackles. He lines up as a middle linebacker. And he's been solid. We mentioned in the first half, Coach Witt said he wished he had 22 other people on the roster like him.
Other than the one big play that Redondo hit, and now we've got Redondo taking a timeout here at the 10:31 mark. Let's make a note of that. We got a tight ball game, and they've just burned a timeout inside the first 99 seconds, if you will, 98 seconds of the third quarter.
Well, I don't think overconfidence would be the word. Of course, Gene Simon has done a fine job with that Redondo program. Oh, there we are. We're on. Rufus, how you doing? Notice the hat, folks. We're talking about Gene Simon. He's done a fine job in coaching them down there through the years. You don't think overconfidence would be a situation with them, but they've got to feel somewhat surprised by the fact that Leuzinger is giving them a ball game right here, and this is the key. They've got to devise something to do on this third down to get themselves out of deep trouble.
And not only are they in deep trouble, they're down at their own 10-yard line. Need to get out to the 30 for the first down.
They don't need to get it all on one
Here's
play.
a rollout. They look in the flat, and that's incomplete. That pass intended for number 45. And, of course, we noted that's Tristan Mercia. Mercia, a 5'9", 174-pound senior.
And they almost got Scott Goodman, our man on the sidelines, with that pass. Well, this is, of course, going to bring up a big punt situation. And last time they had to punt out of their end zone, they did very, very well. Sean Scales is back deep for Leuzinger. They kept him to minimal gain and got off a pressure punt. They're going to be asked to do it again.
Scales sets up at the 46-yard line of Redondo. If he's able to make the catch there, it'll be an excellent field position. It is a good kick. Scales tries to catch it on the run, boots it. Leuzinger will maintain possession. And in fact, on the boot, which they luckily maintain possession, they'll set up inside the 35-yard line. Looks like at about 32, 33, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Olympians. Here in the third quarter, we've got 10:07 to be exact on the clock, which is stopped on the change of possession.
And you could see that one was trouble from the start, the little knuckleball. They're fortunate to come away with that one, but they've got excellent field position to start their first drive of the second half.
Full backfield. Here's the pitch to Ford. Ford around the left side. There's a hole, and the Seahawk defense closes down on him. There are a host of guys over on that side. The Seahawk defense just swarms to the ball, basically. And that's why you have 5 or 6 guys there. But once again, when you don't have a passing threat, it's not entirely difficult to defend. The difficulty comes, Dave, when they line up the 3 backs, and of course the quarterback can also run. You're never quite sure who has the football, but once they figure that out, as they hear, give it to 24. 24 goes around the right side, hits a hole, and he may go all the way. That's a touchdown. Touchdown, Leuzinger. 20-yard touchdown run for Aaron McDaniel.
And it just amazes you year after year. You say the losing Olympians team, they tell you, we're going to run. That's what we're going to do. There's no secret here. They can look sluggish at it sometimes. We mentioned in the first half, they made 2 key penalties in the first half, but sooner or later, they're going to catch up with you.
And there you see McDaniel going around the right side of the line. Lunging tackle made there, lunging attempt, I should say. Didn't make the tackle, made there by number 28. And the second point attempt while we were reviewing that was no good. So our score now, Leuzinger 12 and Redondo 8 here at the 9:34 mark.
Well, as you saw in that replay, Torrey Morgan with a block came very close to perhaps illegal use of hands there, blocking with his hands, but nothing called. And they're fortunate. Rufus, from his refereeing days, would be able to judge something like this. Although Rufus, I believe, referees
Basketball.
Yeah, that's or badminton or something to that effect. But 12 to 6. Let's see, number 4. And now, let's see, he's the lead blocker. That's okay, right? All right. It was close. Wasn't in the back, but you got to question where that hand was a little close to getting up there a little high.
Here's the Leuzinger kickoff. And Seahawk comes right up the middle, runs into the back of an Olympian, and is brought down at the 33 for it to be 1st and 10 for Redondo.
On time mark, Warren for Leuzinger runs into Leonard Hernandez. Big collision. And for Redondo Union, they've been challenged now. They're trailing. They come in as a favorite tonight. And they haven't shown any momentum since that first touchdown. It's been all Leuzinger since then, so they are being asked to get it back.
Right, Leuzinger came in at 1-3 in tonight's contest. Redondo 3-1. Again, this is a non-league contest between the Olympians and the Seahawks of Redondo.
And as you talk about league, Leuzinger in a different league. Well, they're in the Bay League, but a little bit of a realignment. They are not in the same league with their rival Hawthorne this year. Hawthorne in the Ocean League, which is not an easy league at all, but Leuzinger will have Inglewood, Beverly Hills, Peninsula, and Maricosta, not a picnic. Those are the other teams that are in the Bay League.
We'll talk a little bit in a couple of moments about some upcoming Leuzinger contests. Right now, Redondo keeping the ball on the ground. Redondo coming into tonight's game had played Torrance, at St. Paul, Bishop Montgomery, whom they beat, and at Sarah. Tonight they're at Leuzinger. Next week they host Santa Monica, while Leuzinger next week will host Inglewood.
And I think, are we doing that game, or are we doing Santa Monica and Hawthorne? We'll have to check that one out.
Well, actually, next week is North Torrance and
North
Hawthorne.
Torrance and Hawthorne. Okay.
Meadows drops back to pass, puts it up, hits his receiver in the hands, which is the worst place to hit a guy because what does he do? He drops it.
And Gabe Cliff, the intended receiver, the tight end, he's a 5'10" junior. Got to cradle that in, as they used to say sometime. What happened? Your hands got in the way. He was open, did what he had to do, but the drive is going to stop for Redondo. And
Once
Leuzinger
again,
Olympians get it
back to return, Sean Scales. Scales got a lucky break on the last one that he mishandled, fumbled, but they recovered. Here's a high snap. They do get the kick away. Leuzinger puts token pressure. This time Scales once again drops it, and Scales still on his feet, looking to turn the corner, but it's brought down at the 23. Loss of about 3 or 4, but he got out of trouble somewhat on the play, although he did retreat quite a bit.
Eric Sanchez and Leonard Hernandez for Redondo finishing him off. As you mentioned, little dodging there going on. At least he, from Leuzinger's point of view, didn't cough the ball up. And for Redondo's point of view, they kept the pursuit, hung in there with it at the 7:47 mark of the third quarter.
Where it's a 1st and 10 for the Olympians at their own 21.
William Martin, their QB.
And once again, that's Aaron McDaniel. McDaniel picks up the first down. This drive started at the 21. McDaniel gets it out to near the 40. That's a 19-yard pickup for Aaron McDaniel.
Doing all of that on a bad ankle, imagine. On the line for Leuzinger Olympians. Line doing an excellent job. Keyed by Fualo Toione.
Three backs once again. Here's the pitch. This time it's Ford. Ford, nothing doing as he comes around the left, stop for absolutely no gain at the line of scrimmage. So it'll be a 2nd down and 10 for the Olympians from the 40.
Well, on the Leuzinger line tonight, Fualo Toione. He's a left guard. Joel Hernandez, left tackle. Left tight end, Benjamin Alexander. Over on the right side, you get Joe Guerin. He's a right guard. Right tackle, Danny Navas, is also the punter, and Eric Oliva. And your center is Terrell Wilson.
2nd down and 10 for the Olympians. This time they give it to 24, McDaniel. Cuts it back inside. Picks up maybe a deuce on the play. It's going to make it a 3rd and 8 for the Olympians.
Redondo defense tightening up a little bit here at this point. We're going to look at that Olympian line, of course. Joe Guerin, key player on that line. Key returner. Key returning player.
Clock continues to roll as we approach 6:25 here in the 3rd quarter. Leuzinger leading by a score of 12-8. There's a pitch back once again. Get a good carry on, good gain on the play, I should say. Not enough for the first down, however. Makes it a 4th and short, and this would appear to be a punting situation for the Olympians as the ball is in their territory at about the 47. They need to get to the 49 for the first down.
Well, here's a gut check right here. 5:45 to go, 3rd quarter. If they don't make this first down, Redondo is in business.
Well, let's see if Leuzinger successfully drew the penalty. Redondo thinks it's against the Olympians. Olympians, of course, thinking otherwise. And Leuzinger goes in the trick book, calls a play that draws Redondo offside, picks up the automatic first down. I ain't a genius, and most people know that, but I was going to ask the question, if you weren't willing to go for it when you're in Redondo territory to end the first, near the end of the first half, I couldn't imagine why you'd go for it in your own territory. At any rate.
Perhaps they were trying to draw him off. Perhaps that was a situation where they would take the penalty and punt if they don't make it.
And that's what they did. They pick up the first down as they start from about the 48 of Redondo. And on the carry, McDaniel takes it inside the 45, just inside the 45. Makes it a second down. We're going to call it 7.
And eating up some more clock. Just under 5 minutes to go here. On a fairly comfortable autumn night in the city of Lawndale, California.
And when you've got the lead, eating clock isn't necessarily a bad strategy. Another pitch back. This one to Ford. Ford looking for room. Host of tacklers there. Leuzinger offensive line. That time not opening up the hole that Ford needed to break the line of scrimmage.
So they're being asked to do a tough job. It seems like their success tonight, I guess you would agree, as that's an interesting looking line right there. They've been working all night. The success comes when they're able to run to the outside. Up the middle seems to be where they're having some of their problems on the run.
This time they hand it off to number 11. That, of course, Gerard Armstrong. Haven't called his name in a couple of minutes. Short gain on the play for him is going to make it a 4th and about 4 now for the Olympians.
And, of course, he the one who has had the ankle problems and been playing through that injury. But so far having a good year. Now they're faced almost similar situation, but 2 minutes passed. The last time they were faced on that 4th down, and they're going to either try to draw them off again or just maybe straight go for it this time at the 42.
Well, I think Redondo, just like Leuzinger, which got bit early, isn't going to fall for it this time, and they burn a timeout on the play. Okay, well, make a note of that. Leuzinger uses a timeout at the 3:13 mark.
Well, I think in that situation, not that you want to nitpick, if the strategy is to draw them off and it's not successful, just take the delay of game. Just so you lose a couple of yards, give the punter, Danny Navas, a little more room. This way they have to burn a timeout. So both teams taking one timeout here in this quarter with 3:13 to go in it. And we've got somebody else who notices Rufus here in the crowd, as he's been around for many years.
Blast from the past, Jason Miller, folks. We talked about him earlier. Stopped by the booth. We get a moment, we'll get him in here. Jason, of course, sat up here beside me for a period of time. I don't need to tell you, of course, that Dave Marks, of course, holds the record for the longest tenure of anybody here, and certainly the most capable of them all. Perhaps the present company. There's a recovery by Leuzinger, a fumble and a recovery by number 10, Ty-Mark Warren. Warren, a senior, right place, right time.
And it appears that it's Chris Meadows who commits the muff. Chris Meadows had it bounce, looked like he just got a bad, but what you would call in baseball a bad hop. And
well,
fortuitous bounce for Ty-Mark Warren, and it sets the losing Olympians up in big business.
Speaking of baseball, gosh, oh man, I hadn't even thought about that. The Angels are playing tonight. Angels, of course, being in the ALCS by virtue of their 3-1 series win. I'll get back to that in just a moment. Brandon Ford with the carry. Good. That's done and out the way. Let's get back to the baseball thing.
Sure. Did you have your picture?
The California, the Anaheim Angels, all right, eliminate in 4 games. Would have been 3, but for a coaching blunder in the first game. It would have been a straight sweep. Instead, it was a backward sweep. Beat them by a score. Beat them 3-1 to move on to the ALCS. Once again, Leuzinger keeping the ball on the ground. No surprise there. Ball down inside the 10. They can pick up a first down without scoring a touchdown.
Well, they only sweep backwards in North Kakalaki. But, yeah, the Angels are much better team than the Yankees this year. Yankees did not really have the starting pitching from what I could see.
The Angels were what?
I said the Angels were a better team than the Yankees this year.
I just want to make sure the fans heard that.
Of course, since I'm not a Yankee fan. I'm a Met fan, and the Mets had a disastrous season.
The Yets. They've yet to win anything in recent time.
In recent times, that's true.
3rd in the yard to go for the Olympians. There's a pitch. They won't get it on that play. Of course, this is a 4-down offense, and they are in 4-down territory.
A yard on the play.
When you're talking about baseball, very close to home, Coach Mike Witt was in the San Francisco Giants organization. He got as far as single A, excuse me. He played A-ball for the Giants. That's something I hadn't known all these years. I always thought he was a football player. No, he played some baseball.
4th and 1 for the Olympians. Again, they keep it on the ground. They pick up not only the 1, they pick up the touchdown.
On the score for the Olympian, number 24.
Well, that's Aaron McDaniel.
4-yard touchdown run for Aaron McDaniel.
Well, you're looking for Olympian fans out there. You're looking at the present and the future. This kid is a sophomore and doing this well in his sophomore season. You should be able to expect a lot of good things from him in the next 2 years as he develops and continues to grow.
Here we see the extra point attempt. McDaniel slips on the play, so Leuzinger 0 for 3 tonight on 2-point conversion attempts, Dave.
Well, they'll take, from their point of view, they'll be satisfied with the lead at the 103 mark of this 4th quarter. And since they trailed 8-0, it was basically that long kickoff return that set them up for their first score, and they have yet to basically look back. They've kept momentum. They've been playing some good defense, too.
And let us not forget that this score was also set up this time by virtue of a turnover that was recovered by Tamark Warren. Warren in the right place at the right time, set up that score when they fumbled a punt.
And, of course, you keep playing hard, you're going to get the breaks will go your way.
Of course, a year ago, this Leuzinger team beat Redondo by 16-8. Here's the return. Leuzinger defense down in good position. Gets it out to about the 25. Decent field position.
Joe Cancino with another run. So for the Redondo Seahawks, they've got to get something going. About 8 minutes and 56 in this quarter, but 8:56. 56 seconds in quarter number 3.
And there you are.
And you might expect to see them try to open it up a little bit, spread the offense on the couple of receivers lined out to the left side.
They put a guy in the slot, you're right over on the left. They bring a man in motion. And out of all that, they keep it on the ground. Again, you're right, Dave, trying to spread the Leuzinger defense a little bit to open up the running game. Of course, as we said, they're also a threat through the air. So Leuzinger's got to be on guard both ways. They can come at you high and come at you low.
And you would think for Redondo and Coach Gene Simon that this is about the time that they're going to have to probably start putting that ball in the air. They need some points. They haven't had anything since that drive where they scored on the option play in the second quarter.
Well, they've got a whole quarter to work with. Don't have to rush it now. They do go to there. They go long, and that one just overthrown. That pass intended for Kevin Ellison. Falls incomplete. Good throw, though, by Meadows. Just a tad bit long.
And good coverage there by Alexander on the play. Had him just about step for step. Benjamin Alexander, outside linebacker and left tight end. He's got good speed, and they're expecting him to improve throughout the year. 14 seconds to go in the third quarter. So here at this outfit, we don't put the score, we don't put the clock on the screen like a lot of the other places do. So we have to keep giving it to you, old school style.
Quarterback back to pass. Sack,
And
sack count.
there's a sack. Let's see who all's in on that for the Olympians. We see number 4 and number 22 among others. That's Torrey Morgan and Daniel Navas who were in there. So losing a defense, other than the one play, and that play does end the third quarter, but the losing a defense is giving up one big play, but for that, they'd be pitching a shutout, Dave.
Yeah, that's true. It took them a little while to get their legs, but they finally have it. And 3 quarters complete as the drum pounds in our ears. It's the Leuzinger Olympians with the lead heading into quarter number 4, 12 minutes to go. Well, Rufus, while we have a break, it's been a while that we've been together. Of course, since we last met, we've gotten through the NBA Finals, WNBA Finals, baseball season, regular season. As you're a basketball guy, as the NBA season, preseason getting ready to start, what the hot news item today is a certain 7-foot center has called the team from the state capital the Queens. And I didn't get it. I understand that they've responded to that, but I didn't hear the response. I mean, how would you like to be in Sacramento playing for them for that team and being called the Queens by Shaquille O'Neal?
Well, you know, I mean, what can you say? I'm not, you know, I'm not gonna knock Shaq too much on it. You know, there's just more of the trash talk game, and I think Sacramento looking for whatever kind of edge they can find. Was it the best choice of words? Probably not. Once again, the ball mishandled, and that's the 3rd time that Scales has mishandled the ball. And I think this time, Coach Witt's going to get in his ear a little bit.
And this time it may cost them a possession. No indication yet. Redondo thinks they have it. Leuzinger coach is saying they've got it.
Here's going to be something we'll want to see on replay, and they do say that it's Leuzinger's ball. Now that I would love to see on the replay, guys, if we have it, because that could have been a huge break the other way. Okay.
Wrong replay.
We
We're going to see one of the touchdowns. And your point well taken about what Coach Mike Witt will probably be telling Scales.
I mean, at some point, you know, you've got to recognize that that's three kicks he's mishandled.
And it's probably something you can teach in coaching. Just got to try to drill the point home, because they are. This, of course, one of those situations. If we were in the NFL, the flag would have been thrown. They would be reviewing this.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that. So they perhaps, as the referee with the white hat, had to go over and explain it to Simon, Coach Simon.
Exactly. The Redondo coaching staff certainly, and now you have Witt coming out. We've got time, guys, while the ref is explaining this, if we have that replay to be able to look at it, because for everything I saw, and they reiterate that it's Leuzinger's football, 1st and 10 for the Olympians. Apparently that's not in the replay package right now, but let's move on. Olympians, here's the pitch to Ford. Ford swinging left. Ford trying to turn it up. Makes the turn, but only picks up maybe a yard on it.
And, of course, 11:35 to go, 4th quarter. Want to take off as much time as you possibly can. Just try to continue to wear the Redondo defense down.
This drive starting at the Olympian 40-yard line. So for the most part, the Olympians have had good field position, certainly since the 2nd quarter. They faked the handoff once again. They didn't fake it, they faked it to one. Inside handoff to running back number 4, who comes out of there limping. That's Torrey Morgan.
Holding that leg down there.
Morgan's going to come off as Brandon Ford will come on to replace him. Looks like a cramp.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Kind of one of those early morning kind of things that guys our age get. Well, guys your age, what am I saying? Get those things. On the 3rd down play here.
And I can tell you, I've had a couple of them, brother, and they don't feel good. Olympians keeping it on the ground. Olympians picking up the 1st down as they move into Seahawk territory at the Seahawk 49-yard line.
And the clock will roll with 10:25 to go. This, of course, second of a few ball games that we're doing for you this year. Rufus's first game back, and being away into the hinterlands of the East.
But I'm back and we'll be here the rest of the way. This is fun. You don't realize how much you miss it until you've been away from it for a while. Again, Leuzinger keeping it on the ground. Boy, that's Brandon Ford with the carry. We talk a lot about the running backs. Dave has certainly at least once mentioned the fact that William Martin, Sr., is the quarterback.
And he's the one that gives the handoff here to Brandon Ford. Richard Abad had a hand at him, but not able to hold on.
So, this drive, having started at the Leuzinger 40-yard line, is now down inside the Redondo 35. Now we got whistles and a stoppage of play.
And while we have the stoppage of play, you know, we were talking about as call going to go against Leuzinger, things we did this summer. This summer I had an opportunity twice to meet someone who is, I mean, the word legend, football legend, does not describe him. Rufus, when you are in the presence of Jim Brown, okay, you are reverent, okay? You mind your P's and Q's. That man looks like if you put an offensive line behind him now, he could rush for 100 yards.
And I don't doubt that at all. That's Armstrong with the carry.
Now, he of course, is working with the AmeriCare program, and you cannot say enough about what he does for the youth, for the young people. The gang intervention. Had a couple of legal problems this year that he dealt with, but quite an effective man in the community, and he's been doing it since the 60s, as you well know. He did it on the field, did it off the field, and I don't think it's a stretch to probably say he is the greatest running back in the history of the NFL, and that's not a stretch at all.
Trivia question. What was Jim Brown's second sport that he played in college?
Okay, now that's a good. I've heard it before, but it wasn't baseball, and it wasn't. It was track, right?
Nope.
Okay, good. Got us there. Well, you folks out there in the audience, why don't you call 999-999 if you know that. No, we're not live. We can't do that. But can we give them, if someone in our audience, if they call in next week and they say they know, can we give them a prize?
We'll figure out something we can throw their way.
How about giving them your hat?
We'll throw them free tickets to the next game.
Something
out there,
like
if you know, of course, they've got a week to look it up now. But if you do know and you give Lawndale City Hall a cable office 973-4321, tell them you know the answer to the trivia question. What Jim Brown, great running back for the Cleveland Browns,
and played at Syracuse in college, of course.
Retired at the age of 29. And you're right, considered by most. Here's a rare pass, and closer to the Redondo defensive back than it was to Daniel Navis. That was Martin with the pass. If I'm not mistaken, that's the first pass we've seen tonight, isn't it?
Oh, you're not mistaken. You're right. Yeah, at least we can see he does have an arm. He does have the ability to get it off. And, of course, when you run all night, they're not expecting that. So William Martin and Navas catching everybody by surprise. But now with 7:56 to go, they will go to the punt. So they killed about 2 minutes and some change on this drive, but the penalty set them back.
Another whistle. Got an official timeout on the field now. Back to kick, Daniel Navas. Navas gets away a half-decent kick. Santa Monica does, not Santa Monica. Well, meant to say the Seahawks of Redondo do the wise thing and step away from it.
And that time, Scales, who had some problems fielding them, able to get down there and down the football, so they're going to be backed up deep in their territory.
This is, of course, our game of the week on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22. Brought to you also, and we should mention, in conjunction with the fine folks over at Hawthorne Community Cable. Goes on Channel 22. If you're watching the broadcast, you know we actually so good we couldn't keep it on one channel. We have to put it on 2 channels, channel 22 and channel 6 on the Lawndale and Hawthorne cable systems. So it's a 1st and 10 for Redondo inside the 10 at about the 7-yard line. They pass out of it, and the ball's up in the air, falls incomplete.
On the deflection for the Leuzinger.
Well, you're pretty much going to see them in the air most of the night. And again, Benjamin Alexander, good coverage on that play. Getting out there and making it not easy catch. Had somebody short and somebody long on the coverage that time.
Right, the second Olympian out there can't quite see it. Okay, now I can. Of course, that was Martin, also out there in the defensive backfield. And now, right, there was a penalty against the Olympians.
Oh, it's a personal foul on Leuzinger. So it had nothing to do with the play downfield. But that's something that gives the coaching staff gray hairs.
Makes it a 1st and 10, takes it out beyond the 20 at about the 22, Dave, where it gives Redondo a little more breathing room. This time they keep it on the ground. Quarterback keeper, he's got some running room up the left side. Finally brought down as he runs into McDaniel in the Leuzinger defensive backfield, but way deep in the Leuzinger defensive backfield. In fact, it was in Leuzinger territory at the Leuzinger 44-yard line before it was finally brought down. 7:31 left here in the contest. Redondo trailing by a score of 18-8. Looking here to make a margin. That's a 10-point deficit.
Well, Gene Simon and Chris Meadows pulled that one out of the playbook, and that could be the momentum boost that they need with 7:13 to go. That's their best showing since the second quarter when they scored on what was sort of a trick play, the halfback option for the touchdown. Let's see if Redondo's able to capitalize here.
They send the slot receiver in motion. They drop back the pass, look to be setting up the screen. This is going to pick up another 1st down for them. So they run a little screen play that time on the Olympians. The 1st down, of course, will stop the clock as they move the chains.
And Hernandez, Leonard Hernandez, as the player goes in motion, Murcia in motion, and you're right, they were setting up the screen that way. He makes a good catch there. Hold on, and 2 good play calls. One on the quarterback sneak right up the middle.
Ball's at the 31, Dave, of Leuzinger. Let's remember this drive started inside the 10 at about the 7. Personal foul against the Olympians on 3rd down, took it out to the 20-yard line. And, of course, Meadows with the big run set this up. Again, they send the man in motion. Here's the pitch, a reverse pitch. Can he get around the corner? He does, but he's met there by number 51 with the excellent open field tackle for the Olympians. That's for Loa Teone. Teone with the excellent open field tackle on what could have been a big play for Redondo. Instead, it goes for a 1-yard loss. From the looks of the way they're marking it, it's going to make it a 2nd and 11. So, Dave, we got a little excitement going here, bud.
Yes, it is. Tuione with the hit. Fualu Tuione. One of the first times we've called him out tonight, outside linebacker.
McDaniel's in there to clean up, but that was Teone's tackle all the way. If that were a sack, you don't get credit for half a sack, McDaniel. Of course, it wasn't a sack, but if it were, just so you know, that pass falls incomplete.
We're looking for Kyle Thompson out there on the right. And, of course, keeping in mind, talking about this drive, that big penalty, personal foul penalty, after the first pass was thrown incomplete. That gave the drive momentum, got them out of the shadows of their end zone.
Redondo, of course, now obviously time and distance being in 4-down territory. It's 3rd and 11 for Redondo. 5:23 left on the clock. Leuzinger leading by a score of 18-8. This time they go slot right. Now the slot man comes back in motion to the left. They throw it out in the flat, and that's incomplete. You got to be looking upfield to me all the way, although Leuzinger defense is sitting back on them in the defensive backfield. You still got to look upfield.
Well, Leuzinger rising to the occasion.
I don't think right now Redondo has any choice but to go for it. Remember now, in the third quarter, they used the timeout in the first minute and a half of the third. They only have 2 left. I'm sure they don't want to burn one of them here.
Well, they need a first down, or this could be the ball game. With 5:20 to go, Leuzinger get the ball if they don't make the first down, and they're simply, Leuzinger, of course, will keep it on the ground and just try to burn that clock. So this big play of the night for Chris Meadows, the QB, and those Redondo Seahawks.
Meadows drops back to pass. Meadows rolls out right under pursuit. Meadows finally lets it go near the sideline. I think it's probably out of bounds. We couldn't see it from here. And the indication from the referee is that it's going to be first down for the Olympians. We've got 5:10 left. And Redondo now finding themselves in desperate straits. They've got to score twice in 5 minutes. Leuzinger has a football. No secret about what they're going to do, Dave. You won't see another pass tonight. I hope you fans saw the last one, saw the only one on the last drive, because you won't see another pass tonight. That's for sure.
I'm still curious as to hearing, according to Scott Goodman, they threw 15 in their game down against San Marcos in San Diego, the game that they won.
There's the pitch back to Gerard, and they're going to call him out at the 50. In fact, they're going to spot him inside Redondo territory, and that play with 5 minutes left here stops the clock.
Redondo will take a timeout right at the 5-minute mark, and as Rufus mentioned, that would be number 2, and they have just 1 left. 3 backs for the Leuzinger Olympians, the 3 main backs. Brandon Ford, Armstrong. Ford, Armstrong, Torrey Morgan. Seen Aaron McDaniel. Actually, we've seen 4 backs tonight. And a 1 pass attempt. And most of the success has been to the outside. When they've tried to run up the middle against the big beef of that Redondo attack, that's where they've had some of their problems. And although this one not technically over yet, it gets to the outside. Next week, they have a big home game against Inglewood. It'll be the first time they've played Inglewood in a few years. Inglewood having a lot of success in the Ocean League, now coming back to the Bay League. And it appears,
and straight up the middle for the Olympians, Torrey Morgan, number 4.
as Torrey Morgan breaks that long run off, you're talking about the assistant coaches, the Millers. Seems like there is an Inglewood-Leuzinger connection, Inglewood-Leuzinger-Hawthorne connection. The schools are relatively close to each other. At some years, they've all been in the same league. Inglewood, of course, think of Sandy Fletcher a couple of years ago, who's now at USC. And just 2 years ago, they were in the Division 12, I believe, finals against Paso Robles. Lost to them at El Camino College, close game.
Pitch back again, this time to Ford. Leuzinger keeping it on the ground.
Of course, last week you haven't seen Hawthorne yet. Martin French, their new coach. There's a Inglewood connection right there. Ball game we did against Crenshaw.
There you see the replay again. Ford with it on the ground, making the carry, doing an outstanding job.
And they're just going to take their time right now at 4 minutes to go. Another score would virtually put it away.
Well, and on his feet, churning for yard after yard, Torrey Morgan. I don't think they even need to score at this point, Dave. I think the first downs, because now what they're doing, I mean, they're moving the ball at will. Even if Redondo stops them, it just allows the clock to run. Of course, that's the advantage of the running game as opposed to the passing game. Clock stops on incompletions, whereas it continues to run.
That's why when we do games at Hawthorne, we're there forever, and why we're out of here pretty quickly.
First and 10, Leuzinger.
Fumble on the play. That was, but they're going to call procedure against Leuzinger. However, if the, okay, that's right, but the whistle blew, stop the play. I'm not following their own teachings that I'm giving.
Dead
That
ball
guy
foul.
looks like a relative of mine.
Meadowlark Lemon. No, not him, right?
We could be family. Looks like family.
He's from North Kakalaki too, huh?
Looks like a homeboy, as they would say. That penalty, though, against the Olympians backs them up to the 19. They need to get inside the 5. There's a pitch back to Ford. Nothing doing on that play.
While we have a little time here, Rufus, as we're doing this ball game, depending on when you see it, I guess the sad news that was reported yesterday when I mentioned Meadowlark Lemon, the passing of Ms. Teresa Graves, the actress, who a lot of folks our age remember her from Get Christy Love. Very tragic, at home helping her mother who was in the hospital and apparently didn't hear the smoke detector and got killed in a fire. And I mentioned Meadowlark because back during her days of Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, the Harlem Globetrotters had a special that she was a guest host on. And I remember they were doing their dances at the end, and Meadowlark was saying she was dancing, and we're doing a Teresa Graves, get down, girl, back for the early 70s. And just think of her sad passing the other day. Just life is precious. You never know.
It indeed is. Indeed it is.
And she had gone, of course, she had become a Jehovah's Witness as Meadowlark Lemon, now a very spiritual person. So it's funny, back when both of them were into the comedy days and the show business days where their lives took them. And she will be missed. If any of her family is in the neighborhood that is able to watch these ball games, we send out our best wishes and prayers to you.
Leuzinger still keeping the ball on the ground. Eating up clock as we approach 2 minutes left. And now we've got a timeout on the field. Indication is that it is being taken by Redondo at the 2:04 mark. So that's their third and final timeout of the contest, which means they can't stop the game anymore.
And another first down, and it's virtually all over. Well, again, in themes about talking about what we did with our summer vacation, the other thing that we forgot to mention, well, of course, we know the Lakers, 3-time world champions, going for number 4. We have the other team that shares the Staples Center, the ladies, the Sparks. How about the Nikki Teasley hitting a shot at 2 seconds to go against the New York Liberty?
Yeah.
I mean,
This has been California teams have been kind of rough on New York teams of recent days.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Especially since they take most of New York's best players to come out here and do it.
Yeah, well, nobody told you guys to keep re-signing Spreewell, but you do.
Now, how did we go from the Sparks to the Knicks? That's a stretch.
Well, you talked about their best players losing her with the ball on the ground. That's McDaniel. Won't be anywhere near a first down. It was a third down play to be losing her, coming up with a fourth down play now. We got 1:50 left in the contest. Leuzinger will take a delay of game penalty, I would imagine. Then they'll run the play, then turn it over on downs, and all they've got to do is play defense. We've got a minute and a half left, folks. The Olympians, they're going to raise their record, Dave.
Yes,
to
they
2
will.
and 3.
The Flames not lit tonight, but another win will go up.
That's Ford. Ford turns the corner, picks up the first down, and the touchdown.
And Brandon Ford puts the exclamation point on the night.
Ford from 20-some yards out with 1:19 to go. So for the second year in a row, the Leuzinger Olympians are going to defeat the Redondo Seahawks. We're going to call that a 20-yard run. There you see the replay, fans. Ford going around left side.
And Tuione and Guerin out there leading them. So they'll go for the deuce with 1:19 to go.
They're 0 for 3 on it tonight. Let's see if they can change that quarterback keeper. Martin keeps it, and he does not get in. So they have something to work on in practice next week, Dave.
But one thing they won't have to work on is intensity, as they were that tonight. They were very focused and concentrated for the most part, coming in against a team that many people figured they would have a very tough time against, but they pretty much shut Redondo down this evening, and it sets them up excellently what Coach Mike Witt wanted to do to get them into their conference play, into Bay League play as they take on Inglewood at home next week.
So, Leuzinger, hey, tip of the hat to the Olympians. They come in, Redondo comes in at 3-1, Leuzinger 1-3. Leuzinger is going to leave here tonight with a W.
And a 2-3 preseason, beating San Marcos and San Diego in their opener down in San Diego, which was impressive.
And as we mentioned, they do have Inglewood next week, and then after that, they go to Beverly Hills. They come back home to Peninsula. They make the short trip over to Miracosta, and they conclude the season on November 15th. And that's a game I can tell you we'll have, we know that for a fact, at Hawthorne High School.
15-yard line.
There's a return brought out to the 25.
5-yard line when he is
Minute
stopped.
13 left.
Tristan Murcia on the carry, and Rufus, even though the game is not a league game, it is still going to be the Mayor's Cup. Hawthorne and City of Hawthorne and the City of Lawndale. And last year, we may remember, if we really had this deep in our files, pull up that last touchdown throw across the field that where they beat Leuzinger on that last second touchdown.
Yeah. How's the Inglewood team this year?
Well, coming down from the other league, from the Ocean League, they should be looking fairly good.
Okay.
They're not. They've lost a couple of people, but from what I understand, they're going to be a formidable opponent.
Back at quarterback for Redondo.
Leuzinger could get out of league play, which they have 4 league games, and then they play Hawthorne.
We'd like to thank you for tonight's attendance.
They could come away out of that, Dave, seriously 3-2. And right now, well, that would be a 500 season. They're 2-3 now. They go 3-2 in the rest of the way. 4-1 could set them up for the playoffs. There's another one nearly picked by Scales. Scales trying to make up, Dave, here in the late going for some of his miscues on handling kick returns. We've got 105 left in the contest, fans. This one's been over for a little while now. Leuzinger put it away certainly on the last drive on that scoring touchdown by Ford.
And next week we will be at Hawthorne, North Torrance and Hawthorne.
Okay. Fans, we're going to take a quick break here on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22 at the 105 mark. Okay. Sorry. We'll pick it up right after this play. Quarterback rolling out. Passes in the flat. That one's incomplete. That'll stop the clock, and with that stoppage of play, that will give us a moment to take a break here on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22. All right, and as we can see, booming punt by Redondo. This time Scales is nowhere near the football. He's on the field, of course. Coach still having confidence in him, but clear instruction, don't get near it.
And for Redondo on that last series, we failed to mention Andy Amenentorp was in there at QB, relieving Chris Meadows, who's done for the night. Not able to get any kind of rhythm. They had that one scoring drive early on in the ball game in the second quarter when Kevin Ellison was running well, and then, of course, Ellison threw the option pass.
How you doing, man?
Now, what you're hearing in the background is Rufus making friends in the stands with his microphone open. But they're just going to take a kneel down. See, that's those North Carolina folks for you. You know, down there in Tobacco Road. 48 seconds to go, and no mystery here, just the knee down. And this one is going to be history. So Rufus has been here for many a year, and he saw somebody else that he recognized. Who was that this time, Rufus?
That was Eddie Miller.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see if the truck will tell us. Tom, we've got a question here from the house announcer. I know we're live. Do we know when our next contest is? Can we let the fans in the house know?
Well, I know when our next broadcast is going to be North Torrance at Hawthorne next week. I guess they want to know the next time we're going to be here.
Leuzinger will down the play once again.
Okay, I didn't copy you, Tom, at that moment. If you can. November 1st.
So we're here again on November 1st on the schedule. Next time we'll be at this field. We'll be doing a couple of Hawthorne games for a while. November 1st, they'll be against Peninsula here. So they will be already 2 games into the schedule as this clock is going to wind down. So that'll be a big ball game against Peninsula.
So with that, Leuzinger gets out of here tonight with a win at their home field at Olympian Field by a score of 24-8. We congratulate the Olympians on an outstanding win tonight. They up their record to 2-3 as they get ready for league competition. And of course, Redondo over in the Ocean League now drops to 3-2. 2 consecutive losses for the Seahawks. The Olympians, after 3 tough losses, get back on the winning side. And maybe this portends good things to come in the Bay League, Dave. Your final thoughts?
Well, the final thought is that Coach Witt couldn't have designed it any better. He wanted to get this team ready for league play. They weren't as concerned about the W's. They just wanted to kind of get them tested, get them rough, get them ready. But, of course, it's always – well, I don't mean that they don't care about winning. That's not what I mean to say. But when you can come away with a victory against a team that, on paper anyway, it looked like they might have gone down to, that gets you in with a lot more momentum as they would get ready to face Inglewood next week and get league play underway.
Absolutely. Well, fans, one more time. As always, it's our pleasure here at Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22 for our entire production crew, headed, of course, by none other than Tom Strickfadden.
And I think we may even be going to the field. We might even be going to talk to Scott for a second. Scott has a couple of things going on as we take a look out at the field there and see what's happening. So whenever you guys in the old truck are ready, we will go to Scott Goodman. So they're getting them a little ready.
Okay, my apologies to the truck. Our audio, okay, now I'm hearing it. We're going down to Scott Goodman sideline with one of the stars of the game.
Leuzinger Olympians victorious here. I'm here with McDaniel. Played a superb game. He had 2 touchdowns. The question we pose on you is, can you carry this Olympian team on its back? And are you the future of this Olympian football program?
Well, yeah, I'm the future, sophomore rushing. And, I just do what I have to do for the team. Coach put me in the 3rd quarter, said put it in, I did it. So.
You played a great game, Aaron. He's the future of the Leuzinger Olympians offense. He's only a sophomore, and he has a big game next week against Inglewood High. Good luck next week, and have a good weekend.
All right, you too.
Thank you.
All right, Arthur.
How's it going? Great game.
Right, well, we just heard from Aaron McDaniel having a good game here tonight. We, of course, saw the trifecta of running back, actually 3 or 4 running backs, Brandon Ford in there doing a yeoman's job. And as we said, it looks like Coach Mike Witt has them set as they get ready to go into league play.
He has them indeed. Clearly, McDaniel, the star of the game tonight. We've got Scott with another player interview for us, and this is all good. We enjoy this. It gives us and the fans a chance to see some of these stars. So we'll toss it down once again to Scott Gutman.
Go ahead.
We are here with another Olympian offensive star, Brandon Ford. Brandon, how would you critique the Olympians' offense today?
Well, we did pretty good, man. For coming off a couple of losses, we expected to do good.
What can we expect within the next few weeks out of the Olympian offense and defense?
Oh, this and better. More yardage. That's all I can say. That's what I.
Good luck in the following weeks. There's Brandon Ford from the Leuzinger Olympians. I'm going to send it back up to Rufus and Dave. Have a good night, everyone.
All right, and we're back here once again. Gives us a chance, Dave, as we start to wrap it up, to talk about what we've got on the schedule coming up. And, of course, we're going to be at Hawthorne next week to watch them take on the North Torrance team.
And you're going to like the fact that they've redone their field, too, as well. They've done a big remodeling job up there.
Is there air conditioning in the Hellcat now?
We won't need it. That's only during the summer. But Hawthorne, of course, rebuilding is not the word. Of course, new coach Martin French. We saw them a couple of weeks ago against Crenshaw, a game we did. Crenshaw just took them apart, and it was a situation where Crenshaw made a lot of mistakes, not a situation their coach would be happy. So they've got a lot of work to do up there at that program. Unlike Leuzinger, of course, is run, attack. That's a traditional thing. Hawthorne was always a mixed bag. They would always have one feature back, usually one kind of star. But William French coming in from Inglewood, he's got a job to do to get that team back onto the winning column, as Hawthorne has never. We were trying to say, when was the last time a Hawthorne team has ever been shut out? When they got shut out against Crenshaw. And they will play North Torrance next week. That's where we'll be. And we'll see if they're able to have some life and turn the thing around next week.
Great. And the next time we're back here will be on November 1st as the Olympians take on the Panthers of Peninsula next week at Hawthorne. But let's enjoy the night's win. One more time, fans. Leuzinger defeats Redondo, the Seahawks, by a margin of 24-8 on 4 rushing touchdowns. I tip of the hat to the Olympians, and once again for everybody here at Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22 and Hawthorne Community Cable Channel 22, we say, as always, and Time Warner as well, let's not forget our corporate buddies for help making these broadcasts possible. We hope you enjoyed, and we know you'll join us again in the future. For Dave Marks, I'm Rufus Washington saying good night.